Hi everyone, so I wanted to do a Pan Those palettes update. This is like the fourth video I'm filming right now, so I'm a little out of it at this point, but still wanted to give you this update while I was in the mood for it. So Pan Those palettes for me is a lip palette, an eye palette, concealer palette, face palette. I'm just trying to get through all my palettes pretty much, and at least trying to bring you along in the journey of seeing some progress in them. So I think, let me share this one with you first. I wish I didn't push these other products in here that soon because I could have shown you three shiny pans in here rather than just one. But I actually, during the last month, I emptied out this pan and this pan and this pan. Consolidated some into the other pan, so I really only had three shades in here that were left to use. But I did just package one of my other lip products, so I pushed the excess in here, which is why these are so full. So yeah, this is the state of my lip palette right now. I kind of took a break from it from the past 2 weeks, and I think I'll probably take a break from it for another week or two, especially as I travel and things like that. Um, and then I'll probably hop back in on this like early October just to really get some good, try to get some progress, try to get a few pans in here. I think that's what I'm looking forward to. So, yes, continuing to work on this, just taking a quick break just to be able to focus on some other products and get to just play around just a little bit. I'd like to give myself panning breaks like that every once in a while. Just, especially on such, it's not even a long haul one. That's I just continually refresh this. It's just a product that it's so convenient to reach for. It's as especially as like an avid Franken panner, like someone who makes Franken makeup products all the time. Like just having something like this to pull from is just so useful. So that's why this will forever be something I'll probably end up be using. But taking breaks from this from time to time is probably a good idea. Let's see. Let me give you an update on my face palette. So, in my face palette, I've been mainly working on the blushes. I also had a Franken bronzer in here that is now done. I ended up emptying a lot of this. I had just like taped it up here pretty much. I ended up getting pretty much using it up to the rings, like on the edges, like just the rims here. And then I ended up just repressing it with another shadow to make an eyeshadow out of it. So yeah, put a lot of good use into this, still living on in a different form, but in terms of the form of this palette, this one is done. And I will actually show you what my next palette will be in a little bit. I'm going to take a break from this palette before I finish talking about this. I think I'm going to take a break from this palette. This for me is a very much a summer palette. It kind of has that tone for me and it matches my summer complexion a lot better. I'm like definitely coming out of my summer color already. So I'm going to go ahead and put that aside and pull it out probably next summer. So I'll introduce my new face palette in just a little bit here. Let's go into eye palettes. I say eye palettes because I am going to actually introduce a new one. But pretty much you've been seeing this one a lot over the summer. And this is what it looks like now. I think since the last update, I had some pan in this, and basically that was what I repressed. This is the shade that I repressed the Franken bronzer with, the one that I just showed you the empty pan of. And so that one got pressed into here to make this kind of lighter color. And I think that it actually complements this palette really well. There's a tiny, tiny pan in there, if you can tell already. It is actually, I think, from a bubble from when I was repressing it. So not like a true organic pan, but it's nice to see because honestly, I use this one up to pan, use this one up to pan, and repress both of them. And so now there's no pans. And so it's kind of nice to see at least a tiny little pan. I've been trying to use this purple shade and incorporate other shades in with it for my outer crease. So that's been kind of my main reach for this palette so far, the darker shades and then that light shade to kind of buff things out. Haven't really been using the shimmery shades too much because I've actually pulled back in my House Labs palette, which I will always be like flashing you guys with. But I was challenged in one of my projects to do an item that I was like influenced to purchase, And this palette will always remind me of Lipstick Lesbians and Alexis and how she talked about this palette. Not that many of the original colors are here anymore, but this packaging definitely reminds me of that. So went ahead and reached back in here and started to reach for these kind of shimmery shades, especially this one here. This is a mix of, it's actually half pans, but I basically pressed together Expensive Pink from MAC and All That Glitters from MAC. That's like one of my favorite eyeshadow combos ever, like ever. Let me do a swatch of it for you. It's that right there. It's like the most beautiful shimmer ever. I don't know. I just can't describe it. And it's so unique. And but I've managed to actually already hit pan in that one. I didn't really have much pan in that before. Am I pointing to the right one? Yes, I am. I didn't actually have much pan in it before, so now it does. And I think I have, for that project in particular, I have maybe another like 5 or 7 uses or something like that. So I'm gonna use that up, and then I might just keep reaching for this palette for the shimmery shades, I think. I need to think about that a little bit more, but I'm kind of in between these two right now, and we'll continue to figure out what I'm doing with them for the rest of the year. Haven't quite figured out what I'm committing to for Panda Eye palette next year, but this is where we're at right now. All right, concealer palette is still going, no pan still. I'm kind of waiting for it. I feel like it's really close on this NW25 over here, which I use a lot under my eyes. I've also started using these 2 shades as contour. It's a very light contour on my face, but I just want to start experimenting it with that, because I think especially in the winter months, these 2 shades will be a good contour for me. So yeah, gonna keep going. I'm hoping to see pan very soon. I don't know. I really don't know. There's only like 1 gram in each of these little wells here, so I don't feel like it's that far off, but maybe just given the way the tool that I use and stuff like that, like maybe it's just a little bit slower. So that's that. And then I was talking about my face palette to replace this. I will be working, I think, on this face palette for this next month at least, just to kind of figure out how I feel about it. But this is my sleek face palette, not that it even says that anymore. But I was using this a lot as almost like graveyard shadows to like mix in with other stuff and like put into loose powders and stuff. But given I'm traveling a little bit over the next few months, I have 2 trips planned for sure. So I was thinking that I would use this. So actually right now, I just recently did I'm trying to hold this in a way where it won't flash you guys. So there is, it's a face palette. There's a bronzer, a highlighter, and a blush. Basically, this blush is new to this palette. I just pressed this in there as a combination of Benefit Rockateur and a Tarte blush. Is there even a name for it? It's called Prize. Doesn't mean much to me. But anyways, that's a mix there. This is actually a really beautiful soft highlight. Actually, I never splashed on this hand. So yeah, it's really beautiful, nice and soft. So I think that'll be really good for travel, really versatile both on the face and on the eyes. This bronzer is really dark though. Very tempted to actually repress this with something else, but I think I'm gonna wait for the sake of traveling and not let it be. Although this one I just pressed too, so like everything's in jeopardy of cracking and all that stuff. But all that to say, I think that I was, for a long time, I kind of put this palette aside as just like, I'll just reach for this when I need to franken something. I'll just draw it from it. But I think it's actually really nice for traveling, like this size. And I mean, these pans are huge for traveling. I'll never need this much product ever. But I think for the sake of like working on something that is versatile for both eyes and face, this is ideal for me. I don't quite have another palette like that in my collection right now that can function like that. And honestly, in my ideal world, I could, it almost feels like blasphemous to say this as someone who loves makeup and is into project panning. I think I could, in like some version of my future self, like do away with eye palettes. Or like eyeshadows in general, like maybe keep a few, right? Like I love my All That Glitters and Expensive Pink, like I mentioned before, but other than that, like I could really just be using highlighters and bronzers and blushes as eyeshadow for until the end of time. Like, I don't know. I'm just not that into eyeshadows, which is so weird to say. I feel like I used to be, but I think just the economics behind it and like how light-handed I am with it, and how long it takes me to use one up. It just like doesn't make sense. So I'll still have more than enough eyeshadows I'll ever need, but I'm doing my very, very best not to buy anymore because it just like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to the way that I use eyeshadows. So anyways, all that to say, this next month I'll be reaching for the following palettes. It'll be these two here. Of course, my concealer palette. Lip palette, eventually, just not right now. I'll probably be reaching for it in about 2 weeks. And then a face palette. So 5 palettes to update you guys on pretty soon, in the next month. And I'll let you guys know how these look by the end of next month. But I'm excited because I feel like I'm just doing a really, really good job like rotating through everything and just trying to really understand my palette collection. My palette collection isn't entirely that large. This is kind of the extent of it. Maybe a few more, maybe like 2 more palettes other than these ones that you've seen in this video today. But I'm hoping to rotate through those at some point too. Maybe not in this project, maybe in something else. But yeah, anyways, I feel like I've rambled enough. But all that to say, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.